I bury my past. I make peace with the pain. She's not coming back. I've broken the chains. This healing is sacred. This journey is mine. I rise from the ashes. I'm glowing this time. I'm not who I was. I'm who I became. Stronger and softer. No longer the same. Breathing in life. Welcome to SNCB, the Healing Circle Podcast, and I'm your host, LaShonda. This space was created with you in mind. Here is where we make peace with our pieces and find joy in becoming. So come on in, get cozy, and let's begin. Welcome to the circle. But I'm finally free. The woman I buried made space to be me. So let's start with my why. When I first wrote this book, I had a lot to get off of my chest. I had a lot of things that I was dealing with, a lot of things that I needed to just release. And after releasing my book, She's Not Coming Back, I started to get an overwhelming amount of feedback from a lot of the people that had actually bought the book. And I was not expecting for the book to actually touch as many people as it did. Um, One story in particular stuck with me. A young woman told me she journaled her way through my book in just 2 weeks while her daughter was recovering from surgery. She said it was the best 2 weeks she had spent with herself in a long time. Imagine to my surprise, I was like, wow, I wouldn't have never thought that it would actually touch someone in that way. And that actually got to me very deeply. And in that moment, I thought, what if I could create this same space, but deeper? A space for thought-provoking conversations, for sisterhood, for healing, for reflection, and for rising. That's how my weekly reset series began. Um, I started the weekly reset series as a portion of the She's Not Coming Back um, LLC that I created. And I wanted that to just be something that I could send out to the women in my life on a daily, day-to-day basis. Um, just to kind of like bring some joy to them. Because a lot of the times when we send things to people, sometimes we feel like they may read it, they may not read it. But, I just wanted to just brighten somebody's day. Um, and that's how the reset series began. I send mantras, journal prompts, 7 days of intentions, affirmations, and even mocktail recipes to women in my contacts. And the response for that was even overwhelming. Right on time became the phrase I heard the most. But that was a turning point for me. But what they didn't know was there was a time I was anything but calm. I was constantly on 100, living in a fight or flight environment, hurting people because I was hurting myself. Then came my breaking point. I had my third stroke. Now, mind you, I had my first stroke when I was just 30 years old, and then my second one at 31. And then my last was most recently in 2021, like post-pandemic, right when everyone was beginning to get back to work. And um, all three strokes actually happened to me sitting behind the desk. And that became a very tumultuous time for me. But I found some things to try to work through, but it was not easy. I promise you, it wasn't. God sat me down and I was forced to face myself. Those dark days led me to my lowest moments when I tried to end my life. Huh. Even still thinking about the look on my daughter's face when I was in such a rage. And that was a pivotal day for me when I tried to end my life. And hearing her pleading with me to stay kind of brought me back. I sought therapy. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. And I began learning how to live again by journaling, listening to music. Music has always been my go-to. I'm not really a TV girl. I love music, all genres. It just depends. I'm a strumming instrument girl, or I like the feel of the bass in my chest. It's just one of those things that just brings you back to a different light. I also incorporate meditation and breath work. And now looking back from where God has brought me to this mic, I am nothing but thankful and blessed, and that's why we're here. When I envisioned the SNCB Healing Circle podcast, I didn't just see a show. I saw a space we could create meaningful relationships where sisterhood was more than a word, where bonds lasted far beyond a single episode. Because it's hard to feel like you're the only one going through something, but you're not. There are women who have walked through what you're facing now, women walking through it right alongside you, and women who haven't yet, but unfortunately, they will. And in between all of those journeys, there's always something every woman can relate to. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Something is always in between those lines. Something is always there laying between. Something that says, sis, I see you. I see you. And you're not alone here. You're not alone. That's why I picked up this mic. That's why this circle exists. Now, the book that I wrote, um, She's Not Coming Back, it was an ode to everything that I've actually ever been through in my life, dating back to when I first became a mom. And when I think about my book, She's Not Coming Back, I think about how it wasn't just written. It was something that I actually lived. It was something that I actually experienced. Bear with me, guys, because even still, I'm still healing. Even though I've released it all, the pain, it's still there. The only difference is that now I don't feed it. I embrace it because I realize that without it, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. There are three chapters that stand out in this book. Forgiving myself for not knowing better. Because if we knew better, we do better. That's the saying. That's always how it goes, right? We must release the version of ourselves who didn't yet have the tools, who wasn't taught. We're stuck in moments where we're living generational traumas and reliving the paths of our parents and the people before us because we've actually witnessed the things that they've endured, the things that they've gone through, the things that they've accepted. And then we begin to tell ourselves, even though it may not be consciously, but subconsciously, that it's okay to allow people to, you know, treat us badly. And then, you know, there's the other chapter when you realize you're the villain in your own story, because we often see ourselves as victims. But sometimes signs were there long before those red flags, and we ignore them. We ignore them because you know why? We always want to see the best in people. But there's that old saying that when somebody shows you who they are, you gotta believe them. And I've come to the point in my life that you only get one shot. Just one. That's all. After that, I'm done. I have to protect my peace at all costs. They can keep the chaos. I don't want it. And another chapter that really stands out was God, are you still with me? For the moments when, we've forgotten how to pray, those moments bring us back to our knees and remind us we were never alone. And when we remember how to pray, that's when that shift in your life begins. God starts putting you in places and showing you things that you could never imagine. I could never imagine the way that my life is going right now. I'm at such a place where I have so much peace in my life. I have so much joy. I can't remember the last time I really had an anxiety attack. I mean, I was such an insomniac. I was not getting any rest because so much stuff was just like whirling around in my head and I just couldn't like get it out. And it was just eating me alive because I never was able to express how I truly felt to anyone. If someone based their voice at me, I would shut down. I would just stop. And it was gut wrenching. But these chapters aren't just my stories, they're my roots. And they are what built the circle. When I was writing She's Not Coming Back, the words flowed because they were my truth, my life, my heart's confessions, my love, my losses, my betrayals. And who am I kidding? A lot of that was even self betrayal. But the real moment came when I finished that last chapter. I uploaded it, and then when it was accepted for publishing, I thought, man, this is it. I've stripped away every last piece of who I used to be. and I'm boldly walking into the next chapter, not knowing what lays ahead, but being ready for it all. That did something to me. I literally cried for 3 days straight. Everyone thought I was slipping back into depression. I wrote a few things on social media that had people kind of like, wait, that sounds a little too dark, but it wasn't. And I remember when I wrote it, I was actually sitting on the back porch, waiting for the sun to rise so I could just catch a glimpse and feel the warm rays just coming across my face. In those moments, I just wanted to feel what it was like to truly be alive, to just live in the moment, to just accept everything as it was, being surrounded by God and nature. So it wasn't depression, it was my light. It was me giving back to the world what it gave me for so long, but I no longer needed it because I have my own glow. That was my final release. I was embracing who I was becoming. And after that last tear fell, the weight lifted. There's so much magic in being bare bones. There's so much magic in vulnerability, in telling your truth and transforming into the person you were always meant to be before the world told you who you should be. Before I close the circle today, I want to leave you with something for your own journey. Here's a journal prompt for you. What part of yourself have you been hiding out of fear or shame? And what would it feel like to bring that peace into the light? Take your time with it. There's no rush. Let the words find you. Don't force them out. Just enjoy the moment. Just enjoy who you are. Here's a mantra for the week. Repeat this in the morning when you feel triggered or whenever you need reminding that there's power in every piece of who you are. I'll say that again. Repeat this in the morning when you feel triggered or whenever you need reminding that there's power in every piece of who you are. I am safe to be seen. My truth is my peace. I am safe to be seen. My truth is my peace. I want to thank you guys for listening today. Thank you for letting me share my heart and for stepping into this circle with me. That's it for today's episode of SNCB The Healing Circle Podcast. Don't forget to review and share with someone in your circle. So until next time, keep healing, keep rising. I'm your host, LaShonda, reminding you that healing is always on repeat. Blessings.